Okay, Mel, so you're here today to discuss a new book that you're bringing out.
That's right. I'm bringing up a new book for Christmas. It's on the golf swing, Jack.
And what's it about?
It's a new swing I discovered. I basically, after 45 years teaching, I discovered a swing, and it's called 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And
How did you discover it?
well, I was always given lessons all my life, and I was happy enough, but not 100% happy. And one day in the range, a man came in, and first of all, he said he was going to practice up in the grass area, and I said, that's fine. Then he came back half an hour later, said, I'm hitting the ball all over the place. It'll be competition in the morning, and come out and have a look. And he was hitting the ball all over the place, and he was rolling his wrist in by his ankles, which everybody does, unfortunately, or a version of it. And I went behind him, Jack, and I said to him, you hold the grip end, and I'm going to grab the head end, the head of the club. And I started, I can say, I'm going to get rid of this bloody thing. So started pulling the head, and his arm started going out like that. And that's the feeling he was getting,
Yeah.
going out, Jack, with his arms all the time. And I said, this is better than the other thing. No, I didn't think for 1 minute.
You didn't
Jack.
really realise at the time what you were doing, did you?
I didn't realise the impact
Until
would
it
have.
clicked, yeah.
This man was on his knees. He was desperate. And the next thing happened, I said, this is after 5 minutes. I said, let's hit a few shots. He had 50 drives in a row, arrow straight. And he got down on his knees, and thank God. Now, the next day, I got a young medical student and did the same thing. Perfect.
And did they have the same swings?
He had a really different swing. He had a shorter swing. I was got him to getting this takeaway.
So the swing doesn't matter.
It doesn't
It's
really
just
matter what way you have your own. You can, as I say, you can sing Danny Boy, God said, whatever you want to do, but the movement away from the ball is the critical one. Basically, the feeling is that you're getting this amazing power stretch away. Now, I have to just quickly say, Jack, I changed my whole philosophy in golf teaching that day, and I started retro checking it with other golfers. Suddenly realised the top pros are all using this swing, and yet the amateurs know nothing about it. The amateurs are back in the the trenches. And
what swings do the amateur uses?
They swing in around their ankles, and basically the best way of explaining it, Jack,
Yeah,
is the clock.
we have it drawn out here.
Yeah, we have it drawn out here.
Explain it quickly.
There's the clock, Jack, you see, and that's 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock is the
Target
is
line.
the target line. There's the flag is there. Now Tom was this man's name. He was swinging in around his ankles, you see there. Everybody swings in around their ankles like that. And one of the reasons is because their feet are over here and the target line is over
They're
here.
thinking of their feet line, is
They're
it?
thinking of the
Yeah.
feet line all the time. The target line is this line, and the whole idea is, Jack, that most people like they're swinging in here to 8 o'clock.
It's so far
basically-
offline then, isn't
They're
it?
massively offline, and that's what I discovered that day. And it was a eureka moment for me. I couldn't believe how I hadn't seen it before. The three-card trick that golf plays, that the target line is here and everybody is using the feet line. So you can see the 8 o'clock there, Jack. Now if I move the
90 degrees offline, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. This is 90 degrees here. Basically, you take a line across here, all this area, that's a 90 degree or 90 degree offline. But what you do is, like, if you imagine a dial, I moved the dial from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Can you see the difference now, Jack?
Maybe 15 degrees.
I brought his backswing over
Not
here.
near as far from the target
As
line.
far, and
Yeah.
so what I meant was I was making sure I got rid of all this area here, and I pulled them over here. Now the thing about it is, I probably got them just outside 6 o'clock, because it was a
Yeah.
big change. But what is important here, Jack, is that this swing talks to the
Target line.
target line.
It's a target line based swing, isn't it?
And target line based
Yeah.
swing, and the whole thing, Jack. The whole idea in golf is hitting the accurate shot. And I discovered that day, after 45 years of golf, that I'd been teaching the wrong swing all my life. And everybody, amateurs, are using the wrong swing. And the amazing thing, Jack, is the pros are all using this swing. And the amateurs are totally unaware of it.
And what pros use the swing in particular? Is there any standout ones?
Well, if you take the weekend gone by, the great Dustin Johnson, he says the swing is 2 rulers. It's just 2 feet. That's what he says.
Yeah.
And the only thing he does, Jack, and this is amazing, and everybody wants him to complicate it, is that he sets the club, and basically he gets the club back and he hoods the face like that, and he brings the club into a position there. He just brings it back along the ground like that. And then the second thing he does, he gets around here and round to 10 o'clock. In other words, he turns through the ball.
He's not opening it, so he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he says close the square.
Yeah.
And he says the swing in golf, and this is extraordinary. This man has won 70 million. He said this is the swing. That's it. So he gets it
just
closed
like you said with the two different
and turn through.
Just like the two lads in the driving range, you said were completely different swings, weren't they?
Yes, the two lads in the driving range, completely different swings. But the whole idea behind it is where it was right. It was right just on the takeaway. In other words, if you go back along this line here, Jack, there's a good chance you come down along this line.
And maybe just explain the 10 o'clock a bit more.
This is extremely important at 10 o'clock. I can't emphasize this enough, is that when people are hitting the golf ball, they're trying to keep the club head along the target line. A load of nonsense, because the ball has already gone. It's in the air. And when you're playing golf, Jack, it's extremely important that you learn to turn through the ball. Basically learn to turn your shoulders through the ball. In other words, you get your shoulders, see my shoulders here, Jack, they turn left through the ball. If I was to synopsize it in one, Jack, Nicklaus is the upright backswing. This is an upright backswing and a flat follow through. Does that make any sense? Yeah. And so in other words, your arms are going up and you're turning through. But the big winner is the fact that your swing is beginning to talk to the target line.
And you're saying as well just that you recommend not to stand in line from the 7 to 10, maybe to stand close stance.
Stand slightly close like that. In other words, the problem with people is they're aiming way over to the left and then they're swinging all over the place. They haven't no idea that the target line is over here. Basically, you see, there is a little problem, Jack, in that when you're moving something forward, you get behind it. But what happens in golf, you're one side of it here. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying that if you were to maybe be here on the fairway,
yes,
not to stand like this.
No, absolutely.
And swing, you need to stand.
You stand aim at the target.
Aim at the target. Yeah.
That
makes sense.
You see, there's two winners there, Jack. You're aiming at the target, and you're swinging at the target as well. You're swinging down the line, as we call it, and you have to feel you're coming from 5 o'clock, and the feeling you're coming down on the outside. Now the thing is, if you want other examples of it, there's Seve Ballesteros, Nicklaus, Dustin Johnson, and the man who finished second in the Masters, this man from South Korea, this is the swing. He just took it to there, and he actually stopped there.
Yeah, the Slovak swing.
And the thing about it was the angle, Jack. He was going out like that. Like I was pulling Tom
power
out
stretch,
like that, and it was a really power stretching. And in other words, you're like, if you think of it, if you go around your ankles, you're about 90 degrees offline, probably more. This is the line over here. If you go back like this, obviously you have to turn. You're about 15 degrees offline, but you have a much better.
You're not trying
chance.
to reroute. Like 90 degrees.
The other thing, Jack, look at Thomas, young Thomas. His swing is so upright. It's unbelievable how upright he gets his swing. So the other thing, this is important, Jack, and we're going to spend a little lesson on putting afterwards. It works brilliantly for putting and for chipping.
For every swing.
For every swing, Jack. The new way to golf is the Mel Flanagan 5 to 10 golf swing. Use this and you're going to win. That's my promise, Jack.